Okay, so this is part 2 of the fiction book, The Cat That Got Carried Away, and we're going to read the next few chapters. So we ended the last one, you can find that in part 1, and now we're in chapter 4. Have you seen this hamster? By 2 o'clock that afternoon, trouble was brewing all over town. There were cats missing, and dogs missing, and gerbils. I know somebody in our school who's got a gerbil. And guinea pigs, and even goldfish, and budgerigars. They're a kind of bird, so you might have one of those pets in your house. Even, well, not just at this moment, but fairly soon, the other animal that's going to go missing is a penguin. I don't think you will have a penguin in your house. Yes, there were sad owners wandering up and down the streets, whistling and calling, "Here, Tibby, here, Marmaduke, come here, sweetie pie." Some of them put up posters, "Have you seen this hamster?" Some of them phoned for the police. Here, look, there's the lead, but there's no dog. Back at school, the children heard none of this because all they knew was that poor Randolph had gone missing. Now, do you remember that Randolph was their class rat and their teacher was fallen, Mrs. Fritsch was fallen out of the window. Their rat in their classroom has gone missing, Randolph, and they've got that big, scary teacher who makes them do loads of running called Mr. Cruncher. And all the time going around the town is a pram, and the last time we looked inside the pram, Horace, the children's cat, was inside the pram. All they cared about was their sore feet, these poor children. For the literacy hour, Mr. Cruncher had them lifting heavy books, not reading them, lifting them. And in science, he had them lifting each other. Look at that, with a series of pulleys there. Look, he's lifting them off the floor. And for music and for art and home economics and cooking, he had them running. He is really getting into it there, isn't he? When they got home, Gus and Gloria sat on their mother's bed. Can you see there? And they told her all about it. "It's dreadful, Mum. Our legs are dropping off. We're worn out." "Dear me," said Mrs. Gaskett, or rather, dear me. She was eating a sandwich again, and at the same time, it was another fried egg and pineapple sandwich. She does eat very odd sandwiches. And also, as you can see, she was in bed again, and it isn't even tea time, and the clock here just says 4:30, so it isn't tea time yet. And it's probably not time to be in bed unless you're poorly. Meanwhile, downstairs, Mr. Gaskett was cooking the children's tea, doing a bit of ironing and listening to the radio. "The mystery of the missing pets," yelled the radio. "Cats and dogs vanishing into thin air. Police baffled." That means police are very confused. They don't know what's going on. Mr. Gaskett folded a shirt and put it on a pile, and he looked in the oven, and he peered out of the window, and he opened the door. Mr. Gaskett gazed into the garden and rubbed his chin. "Where's Horace?" We know where Horace is, don't we? So we've got another map on this page. So where is Horace? Time perhaps for another useful map. This one shows where the van went with Horace in it. It looks like they've taken him to the next town, and it also shows when the number 9 bus, that could come in handy, and where tomorrow morning, bright and early, and actually it's going to rain, Gus and Gloria and the others, and maybe Mr. Cruncher gets his way, they might all be running. So let's have a look. This is the bus route. So here's the bus, and the bus route goes up here, and it goes along here, and it probably goes behind here, up here, down here, and then to here. So that's the circle of the bus. And here, can you see just there, is the white van. And we know that the pram is inside that van. And here, it's going along here. It's over the bridge. Down here, it's going to the next town. And here is the children's run. Gosh, they're going to have to run a long way with Mr. Cruncher tomorrow. Aren't they going to be tired again? And here, on top of there, look, is a helicopter on top of the hospital in case there's an emergency. Chapter 5. Honest Joe. That night, Gus and Gloria did not sleep a wink. All they could think about was poor Horace. They had walked up and down the streets, they had knocked on the doors, and they'd looked everywhere, but they couldn't find him. Mr. and Mrs. Gaskett, she's out of bed, had driven all around the town, and they still couldn't find him. Meanwhile, in the next town, in the back room of a pet shop, A large number of unhappy pets were barking and squealing and twittering and so on, hoping to be let out. So what we've got, let's have a look here. We've got a parrot, and we've got a rabbit, and I think we've got Horace just in there. And look what we've got here. They've taken somebody's snake. I hope that doesn't get out of its cage. And a goldfish just here. And just here, peeping out there, looks to me like there's somebody's tortoise. Very long ears there. What animal has long ears? Do we think that could be a rabbit? Upstairs, above the shop, Honest Joe was playing cards with his honest mother and his honest Uncle Sid. Pet shop? Pet shop? What's going on here? And who's Honest Joe? Well, Honest Joe, it's time you were told, thinks of himself as a sort of pet collector. Now, I think he might not be very honest. And he rescues animals, or so he says, that are lost or strayed, and he finds them nice new cosy homes. I don't know, do you think? We'll have to see. His mother and his uncle help him in this work, and usually they travel around from town to town, opening a little shop for a while. They make a little bit of money, and then they play cards, and they travel on. Honest Joe means no harm. He wouldn't hurt a fly, or so he says, or a cat, or a gerbil. The worst he'd ever do is put them in a shop and sell them. Oh no. So then he's taken these animals, he's stolen them, so he's not honest, and he's put prices on them. Horace is going to be £5, the dog is going to be £8, the parrot is going to be £7, the 2 gerbils are going to be £3.50, and the rabbits are £4 each. So he's selling other people's pets. He's pretending he has a pet shop. The Great Escape, Chapter 6. It was 6:30 in the morning. Horace Gaskett the cat sat in the window of Honest Joe's pet shop, watching the world go by. Horace was a brainy cat. Well, he thought he was, and he was thinking now, and he had been thinking since honest Uncle Sid had grabbed him, and he was thinking now how he might escape. Meanwhile, in the window next to Horace sat Randolph. That's the rat from the school, from their classroom. He was thinking of escaping too. What we need is a plan, said Horace. We could dig a tunnel, maybe, said Randolph, or get a glass cutter. Randolph, you see, was really, really brainy, and he lived in a school, so he had learned quite a lot. He was educated. That's why we go to school. Horace, can you see how much he is? He's £2. Horace was getting carried away. It could be great, he cried, like that movie, The Great Escape. We could be famous on TV. And he said, or rather yelled, we could make a rope ladder. So that's a ladder from ropes. And we could disguise ourselves and dress up with a mask on, maybe. No, said Randolph. He was studying the wire pen they were in. I've got a better idea. Wake that guinea pig up. The guinea pig's name was Morris, and he was not really asleep, just fed up. It's hopeless, he groaned. We'll never get out. Yes, we will, said Randolph. Climb on Horace's back. What for? Said Morris, but he did it anyway. And then look at that. Clever Randolph climbs up on Morris's back. Well, on his head. Actually, she's got a cat, a guinea pig, and a rat. And stretches and stretches and stretches up to the catch on the door of the pen. So what's he doing? He's using them to make himself higher, and he's going to just knock that catch out there. Chapter 7, that pram again. Now the pace is quickening. Now things are hotting up. Well, you get the idea. Anyway, here's the timetable. So look, they've got out and they're wandering along, and now we're going to find out what's happening. At 6:45 in the morning, Horace, Morris and Randolph tiptoe out of the shop window. At 7:30, Honest Joe, Mrs. Gaskett, Mrs. Fritter, Mr. Cruncher and the children have their breakfast in different places, of course. So what are they having for their breakfast? Oh, pineapple and fried egg. Who do we think that is? It's going to be Mrs. Gaskett, isn't it? Somebody's got a cup of tea. Somebody's got jam on toast. Somebody's got a very healthy breakfast. Milk, apple, banana. Who could that be? Do you think that's going to be the teacher, Mr. Cruncher? At 8:15, Honest Joe's mother loads the pram into the van and she drives off with Honest Uncle Sid. At the same time, Horace, Morris and Randolph creep out through the open door and they run off down the street. At 8:55, Gus and Gloria and the others get changed for their cross-country run. So they're at school. That's the same time that we get to school. And then the rain begins to come down. 5 minutes later, Mrs. Fritter falls, again, tripping over a rug on her way to the bathroom. Poor Mrs. Fritter. At 9:15, Uncle Sid takes his baby, so he's not really a baby. We know what's in this pram, don't we? It's his stolen animals. For a stroll in the zoo. The number 9 bus leaves Fish Street 8 minutes late. At 9:30, Mrs. Gaskett sits up in bed. She has a funny look on her face. Can you see it? She looks happy and sad at the same time. You can see that there. At 9:45, Mr. Cruncher and his class are off. Puff, gasp, run, run. They're on their cross-country. And at the same time, down a little street at the back of the zoo, here it comes, that pram again, just whizzing along. So that all happened in just 3 hours. The next chapter is chapter 8, and we're going to read that in part 3.